my YouTube, what we have here is an 89 Fox Body Mustang with a Coyote swap. So it's a modern engine in an old chassis. And this car weighs 3,100 pounds. So it's lightweight, big V8, 470 horsepower to the rear wheels, running on 4085. So we're going to have a bit of fun here. When this 1986 Ford Mustang GT rolled off the production line in Dearborn, Michigan, its 5-litre V8 had 200 horsepower and could hit the quarter mile in just under 15 seconds. It was top-level performance back then, but in 2021, it's a little lackluster. The owner has installed a fully forced Coyote engine and upgraded the chassis and suspension. It has transformed this old pony car into a machine that can compete with some of the greatest 21st century sports cars.
Alright, so my name is Alfredo Diaz. This is my 86 Mustang. It's a GT. It's far from stock. It's got a built 5-liter Coyote, built by 666 Motorsports, T56, 6-speed swap, and independent rear suspension. Of course, all the suspension is completely like aftermarket, custom built, and even the frame has been modified. Pretty much like everything from the strut towers forward, that's all been cut out and turned into chromoly tubing. Force induction has been kind of a goal like in the future for myself. It was going to be the goal before I got the motor built. I actually pulled the motor just to fix an oil leak, like a rear main seal leak that I had that was just driving me nuts. And then we ended up finding out that the bottom end had a lot more miles than we thought it had, or it was just driven a lot harder because the wear and tear was definitely not from myself. It was probably from previous owner. So the motor now is built by 666 Motorsports. My friend Wayne, his Instagram is Wayne Built. For those that are usually in the Coyote world down here in San Diego, they know him pretty well. He builds a lot of race motors for GT500s, Cobras, and of course the Coyote 5.0s. That's his main specialty, and some LS motors.
So the steering rack is really fast. This takes a slight amount of effort and it turns. Torque is really torquey engine. Really wide tyres on front and rear. So loads of mechanical grip. Really dirty setup as well. I mean, obviously a very old car, but it's driving like a modern car. Really agile. I can feel it's lightweight as well. It's very easy to drive. Brakes are good. It's got modern Brembo calipers on the front.
We decided to throw some higher compression pistons in it and some Gen 2 rods. So now the motor's capable about 900 wheel horsepower easy, and should live at that power for a long time. And then while we were at it, I ended up swapping over the intake manifold from the Boss Reel tube to the GT350 manifold. Just gives me more top end power. And then I was able to find a pretty good deal on a set of L&M Stage 3 NSR cams. These weren't off-the-shelf cams, so these were kind of still in the testing phase, or I was pretty much like one of the very first people to get them. It was kind of cool having these cams in a running motor before anybody else and seeing them perform. So it gives you pretty good mid-range and top-end power.
Okay, so is it running on pump gas?
Right now it's running on pump E85. That's pretty much what I run. Just because it smells nicer and it's a lot safer for the motor, just because right now the compression ratio is almost 13:1. It's about 12.8 to 1.
Pulls nicely out of third gear.
So the rear end is out of a 2004 Cobra. So it's independent rear suspension. Again, like pretty much everything was done in a garage with cherry picker and jack stands. It's fully built, so it has 373 gears. The axles are 31 spine axles from the factory, so those were good enough to keep. And then all the bushings have been replaced through either Maximum Motorsports or full tilt boogie bushings. So all the bushings have been replaced and beefed up. And then it has a set of aftermarket coilovers from Feel with some custom spring rates.
This car, the way I describe it is that it's alert. It sets up for autocross, third. And there's just linear torque everywhere you go. Handles really nicely. Steering is light. There's not that much information going through. Oh, actually, when I think about it, I can feel what's going on. Okay, it's not shouting loud, if you know what I mean. I can feel it. It's not overly communicative, but the communication is there.
So interior is, again, like I was just trying to keep it kind of mild but tasteful. So I just have a 4-point roll bar from Maximum that I painted a nice kind of like darkish red. Corbo race seats, which I really like them for racing. Daily driving, not so much. I kind of been wanting something that like reclines. The wing is from Steeda, so it's like a more exaggerated stock LX wing. Taillights are just like some smoke taillights, and it has a Carter Customs rear diffuser on it. The wheel arch is probably one of the biggest mods I get asked about. Is they're from Chicane 23, so they're like a carbon fiber style weave, and it's funny because we didn't put a whole lot of paint on a couple of them, so you can actually see the weight of the weave paint kind of poke through. So the front lip is off of a Mach 1, so pretty much just an off-the-shelf part that I modified to fit my car. Same with the headlights, they're actually off of semi-truck, and then I just gave it a simple 2.5-inch cal from HO Fiber Trends. Just gives it, just accentuates the body lines, essentially what I was trying to do. And for the flares, that's why I also went with the rivet look, just to because the car's pretty dark. If I would have molded them in, they kind of would have gotten lost, and it was just to kind of give it just another little thing that your eye would catch, and it would kind of match the wheels a little bit with the bolts on the wheels.
So I was expecting this to kind of be like an older type of car, but what the owner has done is turned it into a modern driving machine, a high performance driving machine, and it performs as well as much newer cars.
So these aren't very expensive wheels, these are actually pretty affordable. These are Aod Hans. I want to say these are the DS06s. Correct me if I'm wrong, but so these, I think for the whole set was about under $1,000. So they're 18 by 10.5s, plus 15 front, and then plus 22 rear. And I'm running a 315 BF Goodrich Rival S 1.5 in the rear, and Bridgestone RE71R in the front, 285/30.
So this is the kind of car where you're just going to let the car glide, feel out the handling, but it goes nicely, and you can't rush it. Just let the car do its thing, and you can feel masses and masses of grip, and that noise is wonderful, and you just hear it growling. But it responds beautifully to throttle inputs and steering inputs. Everything is harmonious. Steering, throttle, the engine tuning, the way it tracks, the way the engine pulls, everything is just so nice. feels like a big Miata or a big S2000 or a bigger one, because the car is obviously relatively small for modern standards. But it drives nicely. So the damping from these coilovers is spot on. Lovely damping. Not beating me up, not hard. It feels like it's gliding across the tarmac. And then there's power. A lot of rocks on the road today, you've got to be careful. Very windy out as well. But yeah, this is a wonderful driving tool. Got to give props to the owner. He's done a good job. Starting to trust that front end. There's so much grip. 285 section on the front. And then that torque just pulling me out of the corner. Torque everywhere. But the rear of the car doesn't want to kick out. Doesn't want to at all. The tyres just maintain that power. Contain the power. Such an easy car to get into a rhythm. Doesn't need much effort. And then here we go, right here. Okay. So it doesn't stop as well as some of the more modern cars I've driven, so I'm not going too crazy. Just being very respectful of the car, as you can tell. But it's a beauty.
Yeah, so even the brakes are also have been upgraded. So the rear is 04 Cobra single pistons, which I have been trying to do, maybe like try and find like a Subaru 2-piston Brembo just to kind of match the front. And then the fronts are actually off of a Cobra R Brembo kit. So it's still a 13-inch rotor, but you get the advantage of having a 4-piston from Brembo.
But this front end is marvellous. The rear end again, just linear, just progressive. I can feel exactly what the car is doing. Front end I can feel, rear end I can feel. It's just harmonious.
It's a free-flowing exhaust, so long tubes, X-pipe from BBK, and then it has a modified rear Flowmaster exhaust for a Cobra that we kind of had to chop a little bit to make it fit the Fox. Also got rid of the old Flowmasters and upgraded them to a set of Flow FXs. It just gives the car a super deep tone exhaust, and it gets rid of all the raspiness that the Coyote naturally has, and just gives you a nice smooth sound. And at idle and low RPM, the car's very mild. Up until you start getting up in the rev range, then it gets a little bit louder, because they are flow-through mufflers, so there's no restriction in the exhaust.
And I really thank the owner for letting me just have this opportunity and this experience. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed this drive. Please, if you like it, give it a thumbs up. Don't give it a thumbs down though, give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe. Please tell your friends about the Speed Addiction. Share the video. And thanks again guys. And please tune in for the next episode of the Speed Addiction. See you guys soon.